Everyone's here. So we don't have a chair, vice chair here, so we've asked Jessie if she would just read in the language that we have to read in at the beginning of our meetings now. So Jessie, if you'd like to do that, that'd be great.
Okay. In accordance with Utah Code 5242074, I have determined that conducting meetings of the Provo City Landmarks Commission with an anchored location such as the Community Development Conference Room provides a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present there. These are the facts upon which I make this determination. Utah has been in a declared state of emergency due to novel coronavirus disease 2019 since March 6, 2020, a disease outbreak which the World Health Organization has characterized as pandemic. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention states that COVID-19 is easily spread from person to person between people who are in close contact with one another. This spread is through respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks, and it may be spread by people who are non-symptomatic. Federal, state, and local authorities have recommended that individuals limit public gatherings, wear face masks, and follow social distancing guidelines. The individuals exposed to persons experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 self-quarantine for 14 days, and that individuals experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 self-isolate to prevent and control the continuing spread of COVID-19. Notwithstanding that Utah generally and Utah County specifically has been moved to the low-risk yellow phase, reported COVID-19 cases in Utah County has more than doubled since May 31st, 2020. Physical distancing measures would be difficult to set up and maintain in the Community Development Conference Room. Therefore, for the next 30 days, all meetings of the Provo City Landmarks Commission will be conducted entirely via electronic means. Landmark Commission meetings are broadcast live and available on demand at youtube.com/Utah/Provo Channel 17. Agendas and support materials are available at provo.org/Landmarks Commission. To make a public comment or to join a meeting via telephone, follow the instructions provided on public notices of each meeting. To send comments to the Landmarks Commission members or weigh in on current issues, email the Landmark Commission member at dspublichearing@provo.org. Signed, Diane Christensen and Bill Pepperdine, July 7th, 2020.
Thanks. Okay, so today's meeting, we just have that this one study item. We just wanted to talk about the Historic Provo book, and we've brought Ian Dalton. He's the graphic designer here with Provo City, and we just kind of wanted to talk to the Landmarks Commission about some ideas we have for the book and kind of get your feedback and see what kind of support and help we can get through that process of updating that. So if there's anyone that has any initial questions, we can take those, or give Ian some time to kind of talk about some ideas that we can incorporate into a revision or update to that book. Okay, so Ian, do you want to take a few minutes?
Absolutely. So again, my name is Ian Dalton. I do all the design for the city, primarily for the mayor's office in Channel 17. I've been with the city for about 3 years now. And I remember I was in Ivy, the smoothie bar on University. I saw that they had a copy of this book, and it was the first time I had seen it. And I thought it was really cool. We've done a couple of publications that have been here with our Involved magazines, the annual reports. And I saw this, and I thought that was a really awesome thing that the city's done in the past. And it got me thinking about if we were to update that for 2020. It's been about coming on 20 years when this last one came out. This book was published in 2002. And so I had some ideas. I had some thoughts about if we were to do an updated version. I think this is a really awesome publication that brings a lot of value to the city, brings a lot of value to kind of the history of the architecture that is in Provo. There's a lot of really cool and unique buildings here that have a lot of history and a lot of stories to tell. And so I think as I was kind of mulling over, like, oh, what are some things that we can do to update this and then continue on with it, I was coming up with ideas. The city is doing a big push for public transit and pedestrian transit here in Provo, especially with the scooters, especially with Bike Provo. And I know that you folks just launched an app that allows people to use a map to go to the different historic landmarks in the city. And so I think doing something where we can collaborate within those two ideas, having, you know, a updated new pictures, a new booklet that has all of the landmarks, as well as maybe maps and ways for people to use it as a resource to go around Provo and see the cool and interesting landmarks and architecture that we have. And then moving forward, including a section that talks about what's changed in Provo, maybe the addition of, you know, the addition that's gone on the library, the new skin building, the new Provo City Hall, talking about the architecture and the landmarks that we're creating as we move forward in the future. I think that could be a really cool special thing that we can add on, kind of as a side note, in addition to the historic places that make the city unique. So I was just mulling over that. I love doing these kinds of things. I love making books. It's something I've done a couple times, and I have a lot of positive relationships with printers, primarily Alpha Graphics, who does most of the printing for the city. But it was something that I thought that would be a really fun project to do, something that we can collaborate together. And ideally, you know, with the unique situation that we're all in, there's a lot of things that are closed down still. There's a lot of things that people are looking for to do. And I think encouraging people to get outside and, you know, visit these locations within, you know, the historic Provo would be a good thing, you know, a good positive activity that we can encourage people to do. So that's kind of my thoughts on the matter. This would all be, you know, the design, the creation, the direction of it is something that we could totally do in-house. We wouldn't have to do anything sent out to any other agency. I would be able to take care of it all myself. I think the only thing that we would need to collaborate on would be getting information and getting, if we're to update anything, to get that copy as well. So.
Yeah, so we can open it up to anyone that wants to chime in and maybe give your thoughts or feedback on this idea, and then we can kind of, you know, if it's a good idea to move forward with it, then it sounds like we've got the, you know, the resources, a lot of resources here on the Landmarks Commission. Like Ian was saying, we're going to need, if we're adding some sites to it, we'll need to get some, if we're following kind of the same format we have in here, there's about a paragraph or so of historical information related to those sites. And so if there's volunteers that could help those research duties to kind of get some of that text. And then Ian's going to be able to, you know, do a lot with taking new photographs and designing the kind of layout, and then we can bring that back and just kind of have it be a work in progress with the Landmarks Commission is how we've kind of discussed. So we just
Susan needs to adjust so we can see more than the top of her head.
I can't hear what Jesse just said.
The Susan needs to adjust so we can see more than just the top of her head.
Oh,
That's a good thing.
I think it's a great idea to do the booklet. We've talked about doing it several times over the years. I think, Susan, were you the one that wrote the text for all the homes in the,
No,
or was that Jesse?
this was before my time.
Did
I
Stephen
think it
write
was Stephen.
Was it Stephen that wrote it all?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know Stephen designed it and printed it and everything.
I think one of the issues is that the booklet was designed for showing off those that were actually on the register. So
Right.
You're changing the concept of the booklet. And so that I think needs to be looked at.
Yeah, in regards to that, one thing I thought would be helpful, because there are some sites in there, I think, that aren't on the register. And then there's some that are on the register that aren't in the booklet. So part of this scope would be identifying which ones aren't in there that should be, and getting those added. And then the ones that aren't, but maybe they're in the historic district or things like that. So there's still historic value or desire to understand the historic properties here in Provo, that we could add those, but maybe it can be highlighted in a way that maybe there's some kind of mark to indicate this one is on the landmarks, this one is not, and we could kind of either clump those at the beginning or something. But I think that's a good point, Susan. It's good to have this booklet to be able to turn to see what is actually on our landmarks register currently, what's not, because maybe in the future those could be. So what are your guys' thoughts on that, to have?
Yeah, let me jump in quickly, because I'm going to have to get off for a university meeting here fairly soon. But I think it's a great idea. We've needed to do this for a long time. I love we've got some interest in-house to work on this thing. I think we've got all the human resources we need. Susan and Jesse know a ton about this. Matt and I have seen it over the years, worked with Stephen on the original production. So I think we've got the human resources we need. My question is, there inevitably will be costs. There'll be printing costs and other things. Do we have the money? What do we need to do regarding that? Because I don't want to get down the road only to find out that we can't finish this project for lack of resources.
Yeah. So that would just be the idea would be anything that I make that we print, I also make that is digitized for the city. And so even, if we were to create the assets and then decide we don't want to print it, this is something that we could populate a web page with pretty easily. That could be a dedicated page on the Provo City government website, where you have like a tab that says, hey, historic landmarks, and then you could have a really nice looking series of pages that collaborate with whatever we make here. And then going down the road, and even before we begin, I can reach out to Liz, who is my contact over at Alpha Graphics, and talk about what this would be priced as. If we were to copy basically the quality of this booklet, it would just be determining how many books we made in the past. We know if it's 50 books, if it's 500 books, that's just the biggest determiner there with pricing. And then I could get a bid, and then we can decide, hey, let's go with this, or hey, let's focus maybe only on digital. But I can definitely get that information.
Thanks. I love the idea of having something tangible I can hold in my hands, but I also it would be nice if this were some kind of digital asset that was available for people to have on their phones as they're walking around the city, to be able to view this. So I like the initial focus on the digital aspect, preparing that, and then seeing where we can go in terms of print.
A comment. Sorry.
Go ahead, Susan.
A comment. We reprinted it, about a year or so ago, and I don't remember what the cost was for that, but one of the issues for me has been we've had for like 4 years a pamphlet that we were supposed to print that would be taken to the neighborhoods and to individual families that would help them understand some of the opportunities for putting their homes on the register. And the reason we couldn't we've never printed that. And the reason we haven't is we had the budget, but then we had to reprint the pamphlet. So we've got, I think, some competing. I think this is a really important thing to do. And I like the tangible book, and I like the idea of a digital as well. But I just wanted to remind us that we had another printing thing that we've never accomplished.
In regards to that, so I haven't talked to Ian about that, but I might see if he can help with that. We've got it mostly on the way, and then really it's going to come down to funding, and I need to look into like what Landmarks Commission has, and then it sounds like with the book, it sounds like Ian's probably got some connections and things like that through his department possibly as well. So funding wise, yeah, we'll have to kind of work through some of that, get more information. I'm not 100% sure what funds at this point there are, but like Ian said, we can start getting the work done so we have those documents ready to go as soon as funding becomes available. But yeah, those are good things to put on our radar. What we need to be looking towards is how we're going to print those documents.
If I can make a comment, one of the things that maybe is helpful for Ian to know the history of the pamphlet, that little booklet, is, I mean, it was created originally as part of the walking tour for the Historic Provo America's Freedom Festival, for people to walk around themselves and just have the book and use that map that I think is really helpful in the booklet for people to, you know, walk around on the sidewalk and see what the homes look like. The time that we give them out the most, and so, you know, Ian, you asked if it's, you know, 500 or 50. I would probably go up in the 500 range, because what we do with every June when we have the historic home open house tours, as well as the month-long walking tour that people can do, is we have those booklets placed at the library, at the community development building, and a couple other places, as well as on the Freedom Festival's website for people to download just the PDF. And so people, and I get emails all the time during the month of June from people saying, hey, because we advertise it in the Freedom Festival magazine, and people are always asking, well, where can I get the booklet? I saw that it's available for free somewhere, but they don't have it at the library, or, you know, and so there's a big demand. And then I think the biggest time that we give them out is during the 2 nights historically of the open houses that we have in whichever neighborhood we're highlighting. And we get, you know, 300 or 400 people to come to those. I think the lowest is around 200, but usually it's 300 to 450 people or so over those 2 nights. And everybody, well, every household usually takes one of those booklets. And so maybe to kind of give you a scope of how it's used the most, at least during those prime times during the year.
That's good.
And maybe you knew that already, I don't know.
No, yeah, and I think like looking at, we live in strange times. There's been a lot of things that have been canceled this year, but hopefully next year will be to some level of you know, operating as normal. This, you know, if we were having this conversation now, that gives us a good amount of time where we can get something going together, and hopefully for the next, you know, for this upcoming, you know, for the next year, for next, you know, next summer when we do those tours or when we do the Freedom Festival, this could be, you know, ready and, you know, ready to roll out. People can use it on their phone to look around. People can have the booklets to look around. So I think having these conversations now is best, instead of, you know, having it in May of 2021 where we're like, oh, like we have, you know,
Sure.
we don't have time. So yeah, I think that the application will do really well. And I think, yeah, you've had the demand for it in the past. So.
Well, and even if, I mean, let's just worst case scenario, let's say that we're in the same situation next year that we are now, which I really hope we don't. But even having the booklet for the walking tour is a self-guided tour that members of the community can just do themselves. Even having that so people can just walk around the neighborhoods on their own, even if we don't do the official open houses like we didn't do this year. I think it'd be a tremendous asset for the community.
Absolutely.
Great.
I suggest that you look at a variety of different ways of putting together the pamphlet. I mean, this is very, very Stephen Hales. And so the quality of paper, the layout is something he might make donated some of it out. So consider
Yeah,
all
I think you did. I think you donated all the work.
Yeah, I think I've met.
He's passed away now. So.
Yeah, I think I met him in the past. Maybe that's not true though. But yeah, the nice thing about a publication like this, and I was telling Dustin this, if we have a PDF or an electronic version of this booklet, basically all it is for me at that point is taking the information that's correct, copy, paste, and then updating the look, updating the images. There's not a ton, you know, if we're keeping a lot of this information, if the paragraphs are basically the same, if we're going to put in this new publication, this new format, it's a super simple process of Control V and I get it over there. And so that way we can make, we want to honor kind of what this book is, what it was, but also bringing it into 2020 and updating the look, updating the formatting, so it's easy, easier to read or easier to navigate, maybe colored pictures, things like that. I can do that all here. So.
Yeah, well, I think everyone would agree that it needs to be updated. And I think that's an exciting thing to have it updated. Even, I think maybe you just mentioned, Ian, it'd be nice to get, I mean, I don't know how feasible it is for all the homes, but I know, for instance, my home that's in there doesn't look the same anymore. It just doesn't look the same anymore. And so, with some of those pictures of those homes and buildings, we might look at updating those photographs as well.
Yeah. And that would probably be, in terms of footwork, that's the biggest thing that I would have to do, is just getting a camera out. And with Channel 17, I have access to some really good cameras that we can take some really nice pictures.
Awesome.
We could even do, a situation, it'll be harder with like a book, but if we had it online, if there's a huge change, like if we have a historic photo and then an updated photo, keeping those kind of archived like side by side could be also a nice thing, so people can see that, these are still historic, but they are changing as time goes on. So, but yeah, that's something that I'm looking forward to that, because I think that'd be a really nice add to have some really crisp photography of all the landmarks.
And with the online version, we could probably do, I was talking about the re-photography that we did in the app, how we picked at least one picture for each of those 20 sites that you could swipe through. We retook the picture so that it would line up right with the historic photo. And so I think that's an opportunity that we could probably pick out some of these sites to do that as well. I'd be willing to do some of those. So that wouldn't work very well. Well, the sliding back and forth wouldn't work well in the book, but you could have an image on one of each sides and you can compare them too. That's a good observation. So.
Yeah, I think we want to take advantage of whatever format the product is in. So if it's digital format, that allows us some more flexibility. I've got to jump off, but I just want to, again, say I think this is a great idea. I think our architectural heritage is one of the great assets we have in the city. We all saw the turnout at the open house of the Knight Mangum House. If anything, I think we underestimate the interest in our architectural heritage. So I'd love to see this project go forward. And I really appreciate, Ian, your interest in this. So thanks, everybody.
See you, Jeff.
I have a question. We have at least two that I'm aware of in the booklet that are either torn down or no longer on the register. How we can just take them out, but I'm wondering if a portion of it might be homes that are, or places that aren't on the register anymore, but we still have that historic information.
Hotel Roberts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I think there, one of my favorite things to do with publications is creating keys and legends and adding information when we were categorizing different assets. And so having a section that talks about, like, hey, this is still a part of Provo, even though it's not here anymore. Talking about things that have been either changed or torn down. I think that'd be a nice additive as well.
What about the home down on 5th, for example, 5th West, that's off the register, still in the book about taking that out? Just an aside, she still has the sign up inside her yard that it's on the register. Is that supposed to come out of her yard?
Probably should if she took it off.
If you want to know a guy, he can sneak in real quiet.
I would think that we would leave that. It's the Taylor home, isn't it? Is it Taylor?
I can't remember.
I want to say it's a Taylor home. Anyway, I remember the balcony though.
Yeah.
But I would say that we leave it on leave it in the booklet at least, just for the simple fact. But but like Ian was saying, we could have, I mean, I would think that we would have all of the buildings in the main section and maybe denote with a star, or even like on the map, there's like the round number thing, that marker on the map. But then if it's a star, it means that they're on the register, or, I mean,
That's a good idea.
something to note, because it still is an important building. It's just, it's very unfortunate it's not on the register.
Mhm.
And but it's still part of the community, right? So I think we ought to maybe look at the list. In fact, Dustin, I'd be happy to help with this. I think we all kind of have time right now, but I don't know, I've never seen, but I'd love to get a list of all of the homes that are officially on the register and compare. And I'd be happy to compare it with what is in the booklet. And then maybe we can look at homes and buildings that are still of a historic nature that are not in the booklet and not in the register. And I mean, start making the lists going from there. I mean, that's the place to start, I think.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
got a spreadsheet of everything that is on the register as far as I'm aware.
Can you send that to me?
Yeah, I've got I think we've updated it with the Mennonite Hall going back on. It still hadn't been updated from when it was taken off, I don't think. So.
Right.
There's at least 4 places I think that we've added since we reprinted the booklet.
Yeah.
Amanda Knight, the house just down the street from me that the Christoffersons live in.
Right.
There was another one a little bit in South Provo.
Jace's home. Isn't Jace's on there now?
No,
Oh,
it's not hers. It's another one.
well, it should be.
And I wasn't even there when that one was put on, but those are the 3 I can remember, and they have good write-ups already. And so we ought to retrieve those to give us a head start.
And that's maybe how we can also look. I mean, because I've got, and I think I've shared it with everybody, but I've got all of the historic home tour, the almost all. I think there's like, after 20 years, I think we're missing one. But it happened early on when maybe Stephen didn't do it. I don't know. But I mean, we could look at those homes, and as we're looking at homes that aren't on the register, but perhaps ought to be included in a Historic Provo booklet, and look what's already on. Look at what we already have photographs for, as well as write-ups.
And I like that, Matt, because it might encourage some people to consider putting their homes on the register if they're in this booklet.
Yeah, in fact, maybe what we could even do, I mean, if we're, like Ian was saying, we're trying to get ahead of the curve, and so we're prepared for next year, is if we can get going on this, we could even have maybe approach some of these families, or some of these homeowners anyway, or building owners, and let them know that it's going to be in the booklet, and perhaps maybe they want to get on the register before we print, so it can indicate that they're on the register. I mean, it'd be nice to have it up to date instead of outdated the moment that we print, and then have people see the booklet and say, oh, well, we should be on the register. And I mean, obviously, if it's digitally, we can update that right away. But anyway, maybe that's a little too ambitious for the way we move, but that'd be sure nice.
Yeah, and I think we can put together a site that we can all access and start adding, to that list of homes that are potentially should be in there, and ones that we have information for, ones that we can have some categories and say, okay, we need photos for these, we need a write-up for these, and we can start seeing who do some of that work.
Just a simple Google sheet would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy. I mean, if you can send me the thing, I'd be happy to put that together, unless that's something that you guys want to do. But
okay, yeah, that works.
Thanks for volunteering.
Hey.
So yeah, I think that's basically the vision we had there, and so we'll get together and we'll start getting those sheets sent out and get everyone kind of involved. And then, if you want to volunteer for maybe a specific site to do a write-up on it and gather some data on it, that'd be great. And then we can work on getting new photos taken of the sites and kind of figure out a game plan moving forward. But yeah, we just wanted to touch base with the Landmarks Commission to make sure that we're headed in the right direction with these ideas, and we'll just collaborate as we move forward. So.
Well, it's nice that we have someone who has the expertise like Ian. After we lost Stephen, nobody could do it, and but we've talked about it. I mean, I think I got on the landmarks in 2011 or 12, and I mean, there's been discussions at least since then to update the booklet. So this is nice that we actually have the inertia is coming from a graphic designer. So thank you, Ian.
Absolutely. No, I'm excited about it.
And then I guess on a kind of related note, for next month, as Susan was talking about that pamphlet, I'll work on that and see if I can get Ian to help a little bit if needed, and then we'll bring that next month and maybe have some updates here as well. So.
And if you could send us ahead of time, maybe to refresh our memories, because we keep losing this piece of the project of what's in that pamphlet.
Yeah, the content would be nice and helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So Dustin, do you have the spreadsheet of the register? Do you have that handy? I'm just wondering when I could get a copy of that.
Yeah, I can get that to you pretty soon.
Okay.
Could you send those write-ups to Matt too, those, because those are really good detailed. So we don't have to start from ground zero and doing write-ups on them, on those new ones that have been added.
The current book?
What?
Talking about which
No, I'm talking about the ones that we've added and approved for the register that had really good write-ups. I remember looking at those, and the historic stuff is there, the architectural descriptions there.
Yeah, that'll be in the official documentation when
The
we
application,
added the homes, right?
Yeah.
Do you, I presume you guys have that, Dustin?
Yeah, we should have that. I don't know if we have a Word version or if it's just a PDF, but
PDF is fine too.
I'll have to look through those. First, identify which ones those are, and then go through their file and pull that information.
Oh, and I was also going to ask, I know when we reprinted the booklet a couple years ago, 2 years ago, I think it was. So Kelly over at Hales Creative, he had sent me a PDF of the booklet, and then Josh called me when they were going to go print it, and he was like, "Yeah, so the PDF isn't print quality." And I said, "Well, this is all Kelly gave me." And so then Josh worked with Kelly over at Hales Creative, and they found the original InDesign file. And so I don't know if that's helpful to have for you, Ian, but I don't know if it's in someone's computer, but I never got the InDesign file. But you guys you might contact Josh and see if he has it somewhere.
Yeah, if you have, I was hoping for a PDF at best. If you have the InDesign file, we're ready for the Lost Ark. We're great.
Yeah, I mean, I can easily send the PDFs of it. That's no problem. But yeah, I think Josh told me that they found the original, the print quality, and maybe that was just the PDF. But in my mind, I was thinking it was the InDesign.
Yeah, I think I know we have a print quality PDF, but I don't think we have InDesign. But I'll double check on that.
Yeah, and maybe that's what Josh got. In my brain, I was just hoping that it was InDesign.
Yeah, and if we don't get the InDesign file, that's still fine, because print quality usually only refers to photo assets that we're going to read anyway. And so even if I get a low quality PDF that has all the text, that just saves me from having to retype all the text.
Yeah, it's a massive head start.
Yeah. Yeah, InDesign files. I mean, I get excited when I hear that, the source InDesign files. More often than not, people are like, "Oh, I have a brochure for you. I have a JPEG of what the brochure looks like." I don't have
Right.
So, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know Dustin, is there anything else we need to cover? Or?
That was all. Yeah, I just wanted to get some feedback from you, and then we'll start setting up those that Google Doc or whatever to kind of let people maybe put their name by stuff they want to work on, and we'll just kind of build there and work on it that way, I guess. So.
Yeah, if you could I mean, I don't know what your day's like, but if I could even get that spreadsheet today, I could start on it. The only thing I have going today is I am having what appears to be my own private screening over at the Megaplex of The Empire Strikes Back, because I think I'm the only one that bought a ticket in the theater. So, so I'm pretty jazzed about that. But other than that, I'm free. I'm available, and my family's out of town. So yeah.
Oh,
That's good. I appreciate it.
Back before this all happened, I went and did the 27-hour-long Star Wars marathon at the end.
Ian, I can't hear you, buddy. I'm sorry. What?
Before everything went down back in, I think it was right before the last movie came out. I went and did the 27-hour-long Megaplex marathon.
Oh man.
Episode 1 to episode 9, and it hurt.
we did that in the comfort of my home, but yeah,
I would recommend doing that. But I got a nice blanket, so that was fun.
yeah, I'm pretty jazzed to see it on the IMAX.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
thank you.
So are we adjourned then?
There's the three of us. We must be adjourned.
What was that, Jesse?
It's just the three of us. We must be adjourned.
Oh, fair enough. Have a good day, everybody. We'll see
Goodbye,
you.
all.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, it's nice to meet y'all.